And we are on. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and race fans everywhere. Welcome to this socially distanced edition of Burnin Rubber for July 17th, 2020. My name is Sterling Siemens. I am one of the co-hosts and producer of the program here, broadcasting live from Virginia tonight. I'm joined by my regular co-hosts, Justin Palmer and Hal Leestep, and tonight a very special guest from Speedway Digest, my good friend, Mr. Brett Winningham. Brett, first of all, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule. I know it's pretty busy tonight with IndyCar going on, but thank you for coming on and joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Good to have you on. So we've got a lot to talk about and not much time to do it, but so let's get right into it. Let's start with getting everyone up to speed for what happened just the last weekend in racing. So starting with Kentucky, the second race of the Xfinity doubleheader was broadcasting on our last show live as it was going on. Austin Cindric swept the Kentucky doubleheader, but what got everyone's attention was a fight in the garage area between Noah Gragson and Harrison Burton after the race. As far as I can tell, no driver was fined for the incident. Neither Gragson nor Burton were fined, but it was interesting to watch. I guess just any takes? Is anyone really surprised that no one got fined, I would ask?
A little bit, but when you can throw that good of a right hook, I guess you can just get away with it.
I guess.
I'll be honest, I was a little bit shocked, especially with the memo sent out. But, I mean, hey, it's what sells tickets. But I'll say this. If you're not going to find those guys, you're going to owe $500 to Donnie and Cale Yarborough. They still haven't gotten their money back from that fight.
I think that none of them should have been fined, and Robin's racing, things happen, and hey, at the end of the day, it's just more entertainment for NASCAR. So
whatever gets eyes to the sport at this point. And any publicity is good publicity in NASCAR's case. Other races that happened during the NASCAR weekend in Kentucky, obviously the Truck Series and the Cup Series ran a race. It should be mentioned that on Saturday, Sheldon Creed won the Truck Series race. It is his first career victory. It was a really short event. It only went 72 of the advertised 150 laps. They just got done with the second stage, and then the heavens opened up and rained down on Kentucky. So they called the race early. Sheldon Creed gets his first career win. I should mention there also was an ARCA race that afternoon. Ty Gibbs ended up winning that event. Haley Deegan got caught up in an accident with Drew Dollar. That has stirred up a lot of controversy on social media. Honestly, from my perspective, it's a racing incident. But on Sunday, what was really interesting was that Cole Custer, who came into this race 25th in the point standings, made a 4-wide pass on the outside on the last lap to get the victory. His first career NASCAR Cup Series win for Stewart-Haas Racing. Cole Custer is a winner in the NASCAR Cup Series. Gentlemen, I guess I'll start with Hal on this one. 2 first-time winners this weekend with Sheldon Creed and Cole Custer. You love to see first-time winners. How crazy was it, especially considering the different situations that both races ended up being a part of?
Well, first-time winner in a rain-shortened race, it happens from time to time. That's how Justin Haley has a Cup Series win at Daytona. And I'm not shocked. When you got to find yourself in the right place at the right time sometimes. Now, Cole Custer shocked me. That was a wild finish, going all the way to the bottom and coming up. I don't understand how he did it, first of all. We have been talking about how disappointing of a season he was having, but he showed improvement. And me and Justin during a Gas and Go last week, we said that he was going to improve in the second half. I didn't think he was going to improve this much and that quickly. I think Justin can say, too. We just thought he would get better runs, not go out there and go win. It was really impressive, and quite frankly, you see why they put him in the car now.
That was a that was a robbery. I'll say that much. You had a lot of different and guys getting up there towards the end of the race. Originally, first off, this was a terrible race. It's even by Kentucky standards. Let's not sugarcoat it and hide it under the rug for the pot. And just say the last 2 laps was the whole entire race. No, that wasn't. This was a terrible race. But those final 2 laps, what is it with Kentucky and 2 laps ago that just brings out the absolute most wild results you can imagine? Cole Custer came out of nowhere to win that race. I literally thought for a second, I'm like, where did he come from? And then I saw Kevin Harvick, and I'm like, oh, where did he come from as well? So it was just a wild finish. It was a wild result. And quite frankly, Cole Custer needed that victory more than anything else. I mean, because there was talks of, and people were saying before this race, and they were never going to do this because of his connections with the Haas Corporation, that Cole Custer was on the hot seat because of the Daniel Suarez as comparison. Well, that is completely over. He's now in the playoffs. He got the run in the All-Star race. It was a complete, I would say that was a hijack of a victory, a hijack of a playoff spot, and it has definitely spiced things up for that playoff cut line going into the final 8 or 9 races of the regular season.
It certainly has. I mean, it's definitely thrown a wrench into it. Brett, give us your perspective on 2 first-time winners this weekend.
Well, I thought the truck race, sad that ended short, obviously, but, I thought that Sheldon Creed did a great job of staying out there at the end and coming home with that victory. A lot of people discredit rain-shortened races like that, but, there's still strategy involved, like whether stay out, whether pit, when's the rain gonna come, like all sorts of craziness with those, as you know. So I thought he did a great job as well with the team. And as far as Custer, all 3 of you hit it on the head, surprise. I don't think anyone saw that coming. I think Fox Sports said that no one selected them in their fantasy thing that they do for a cash prize. So, none of those people even saw it coming. And that restart there at the end where they went 4 wide, I didn't realize until after looking at the replay, but Blaney went a lot lower than I thought he did, when watching that live. But yeah, just a great run by Cole Custer there at the end. And, we hear it time and time again, drivers laying back and just waiting for it to happen up front and let those holes open up so they can take advantage of it. And, something too, I was going through press conference stuff after a race with Custer, and one of the things that he talked about was not making excuses, and that, looking at film and stuff and seeing how to run these different racetracks that they're going to, some of them for the first time. So, it's just interesting to hear how he and his crew chief, and not only crew chief, but crew, have stepped around them to improve their race cars going forward.
Absolutely. That team has really come a long way in just a couple of weeks. And by the way, Sheldon Creed and his post-race press conference, by the way, I've just got to say, his voice is definitely implies one of the most chill, relaxed drivers ever. I'm sorry, I've got to say that much. But also that was going on this past weekend. First of all, there was a Formula One Grand Prix that happened, the Styrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring for the second week in a row. Lewis Hamilton, let's be honest, we didn't really expect much difference on this. Lewis Hamilton came out, dominated, and won the race. But what did surprise a lot of people was that Ferrari teammates, Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc, took each other out on the first lap. Maranello is not going to be happy about that. Yep. And what else happened? Oh, yeah, there was an IndyCar doubleheader at Road America, one of my own personal favorite road courses. Team Ganassi, Chip Ganassi Racing was very dominant this weekend. Scott Dixon picked up right where he left off at Indianapolis and won the first Road America race. That's 3 wins to start off the season. Now, he did not go 4 for 4, however, but his teammate Felix Rosenquist won his first IndyCar career event during the second race of the doubleheader after making a late pass on Pato O'Ward coming to the white flag. So Chip Ganassi Racing got to be happy with that result there. And they're off to a very hot start this season. Now, there was also the All-Star race, but we'll save that conversation for a little bit later in the show because I do want to talk about the Kentucky NASCAR package dilemma. This is something that a lot of fans were talking about on social media, and I know one of our own here in this show right now had a very popular tweet. Brett, I know that this was definitely your most popular tweet I've ever seen you put out. This was from number 42 radio of Matt Kenseth, and I can show it on here. This is from my phone. Number 42 radio of Matt Kenseth. Can't believe they raced this package a whole year and then again. Now, I'll start with Brett on this because the question needs to be posed. Kentucky, with some context, Kentucky Speedway has been one of the least popular tracks on the NASCAR circuit, at least on the Cup side, since the Cup Series started racing there. Brett, in your mind, is the racing that we saw on Sunday, is it more of a problem with the package or with Kentucky Speedway itself?
Well, it's kind of a difficult question because, the package has been debated for the last 10 or so years on the Cup Series. But, I'm going to go with the package. I think they definitely could improve on it. I know Rodney Childers said something similar on their radio critiquing it that was put out by Matt Weaver on Twitter as well. So, definitely a couple of not great sayings on that over the radio, and just provide additional context over my tweet. I don't know if really Matt Kenseth was critiquing it. I don't even know if Matt Kenseth actually said that, but someone definitely on that team radio said that. And, I think a lot of NASCAR fans are, they want to see a different package. So it'll be interesting to see what NASCAR does going forward with that. And I know we're going to talk about Bristol a little bit later, which kind of ties into a package as well. But, I just think that they could improve it, and it'll be interesting to see what NASCAR does.
Moving on, Justin Palmer, your take, package or track? Which one's the bigger issue?
I think it's a combination of both. And I know that's kind of a chicken answer, but this track, no matter the package, has been abysmal when it comes to just any of the products that's come out. You look at I'll go ahead and use the Jeff Gluck poll here. Or the highest race here was last year at an 80.6, and that was very much skewed because of the Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch finish that we saw. This year, I think you saw the fans kind of wise up a little bit, and it was a snooze fest for most of that race. There was rain in the area kind of towards the latter end of that race, and I was kind of just thinking before the final 20-lap segment, I'm just thinking, if this race has rain at the end, I would not mind that at all because it would finally expose just how terrible this track has been. And my goodness, every single time we go to this track, it's just a snooze fest. And going in, and you just expect this race not to be good. This is one you tell your friends not to watch. That's because this track will put you to sleep. I took a nap on Sunday. During one of the races, I mistakenly took a nap during one of them because I forgot the time of the IndyCar race, but I kind of wish I took it during the NASCAR race. It's during stage 1 and 2 because I knew nothing was going to happen. And the package has not been good at these mile and a halves this year. I don't know what they did between this year and last year but the mile and a halves have not been as good as what they were last year. I don't know if it's a combination of not running it at the nighttime. I don't know if it's the hotter temperatures. I don't know what it is with the package, but it's right now not working on the mile and a halves. And I think we're going to have a little bit of a more data this week with the package to determine if it is the package, because we are going to Texas this week. Again, I know mile and a halves are completely different between quads and tries, but we go to Kentucky, it just does not work.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a trial to see how these cars handle at Texas. And by the way, speaking of Texas, I just kept thinking of my notes and looking, all right, well, the package here wasn't the great at Kentucky, so hopefully they'll be better at the track coming up next, which is Texas. Oh, boy. So from one reconfigured track to another recently reconfigured track. Howley Step. The racing on Sunday, what we saw, and really just throughout the weekend too, because the Xfinity Series races and the trucks were not, they weren't the most entertaining shows like we've become accustomed to. Is it more a problem with Kentucky or with the Cup package itself?
Well, Justin said it was a chicken answer. I say it's the right answer. It's both, but I despise this track. This track makes me angry. Watching them go every lap, I'm just waiting for somebody to catch up, but the only way for anybody to catch up is if a caution comes out. And then they have a restart, and everyone watches the greatest restart, one of the greatest of the year. And here's the thing. A great ending doesn't make a great race. That's something that I think every NASCAR fan needs to remember. For those 100 laps you were bored out of your mind, that last lap does not make up for it. It was just a bore, and I will give them credit that, man, it's a great restart track. It's great for that last lap if you get overtime, but I don't want to have to depend on overtime to be entertained by a great race. You want constant passing. You want it throughout the field. You don't just want it. I'm sure there was some passing throughout the field that was probably missed by the cameramen, missed by Fox because, the real money's up front, which is where nobody's going. So I can't do Kentucky anymore. I just can't do it.
I mean, there were even some drivers who were pretty critical of it. I mean, we mentioned last week after the first Kentucky race, Ross Chastain was very critical of the track. He said that it was impossible to pass on the inside. And when he had tried it on Brett Moffitt, they crashed. So, so there's that. But I don't know. I just hope they figure something out with Kentucky or with the package or both, honestly, at this point. And they're going to Texas, home of the 5-lane superhighway turn 1 that would fit better in Southern California. So it'll be interesting to see on numerous fronts also how the Texas race goes, if there's a Texas race run, because COVID cases are spiking there. But let's get away from Texas for a bit and talk about the All-Star race that happened on Wednesday night. Chase Elliott won the event, so he's $1 million richer, and fan base goes crazy. Honestly, though, it was an all-star dud. I'm just going to say it. It was a pretty big dud of a race, which is a shame because this was the first time that the race had been held at Bristol Motor Speedway. Chase Elliott ended up winning it. But the most notable thing that happened was that Bubba Wallace got turned by Michael McDowell during the first stage of the Open event. And Bubba Wallace had a very, an interview that, let's just say that's Bubba, because that's what we've been accustomed to seeing. And not only that, but he took the front bumper of his totaled car and left it at the 34 hauler. Oh, and by the way, today Michael McDowell put out on Twitter, and Front Row Motorsports, I should mention, yesterday they said that they were going to auction off the bumper for a good cause, and that Michael McDowell, the proceeds from the auction are going to go to motor racing outreach. Now, the way that McDowell kind of worded that, it seemed a little, I don't know, kind of jabby at Bubba, but then Bubba came out with a response and said that he was all for this. So I don't know if they've made amends or anything, but let's just say that was the most entertaining thing that happened Wednesday night, because the race itself, given the numbers pushed back, the day glow, or not the day glow, I don't know why I keep saying it, the underglow, the choose cone, or choose zone, I should say. Let's be honest, those were just, they tried out a lot of gimmicks, but none of them really added much to the event, which is unfortunate. But I don't know. I guess, I should mention who won the stages of the Open, because these were the guys who got in. Eric Almirola won the first stage, so clearly he's on a hot streak, and I want whatever lucky charm he's got. William Byron, Willie B, won the second stage of the Open, and Matt DiBenedetto won the overall All-Star Open to make it into the All-Star race, and Clint Boyer actually won the fan vote. Now, there was a little bit of rumors, some speculation that Bubba Wallace might have been ahead in the fan vote but couldn't participate because his car got totaled by Michael McDowell. However, Matt Weaver came out with a tweet afterward that said that, no, Clint Boyer legitimately was the fan vote winner. So Boyer got into the All-Star race via the fan vote. And another interesting thing to note, all the verified Twitter accounts for NASCAR reporters seemingly got hacked before the Open happened, so we knew that something apocalyptic was happening.
Hang on, NASCAR reporters were not hacked. It was more verified accounts. The NASCAR Twitter did not get hacked. It was Twitter shutting all of the verified accounts down before the event, and which was unfortunate timing, but they shut it down because guys like Mr. Beast, Elon Musk, I think Barack Obama even got hacked. There were a lot of big name Twitter personalities that were hacked beforehand, and as a precaution, Twitter shut down pretty much all verified accounts, including NASCAR, before the event. So I just want to make that clarification.
Thank you, Justin, for correcting me on that. So yeah, those were the drivers that got into the race. That put the field at 20 drivers, if I'm correct. In fact, I believe all of them finished. And I think all of them finished on the lead lap too, which really says as to what was going on in this race. But we can get more into the details of it here on Buy or Sell. I'll start with Justin for this. Then we'll go to Justin, then Brett, then Hal for this segment. The All-Star race at Bristol, do you buy or sell having races at this track, the All-Star events at this track in the future?
I'm willing to buy it. I kind of said to myself on Wednesday night, I basically said, Ed, this race was going to be worse at Charlotte. And we're just lucky that it was at Bristol to kind of tolerate it. Well, I'm willing to buy it, but I would like to see more of a rotation more than anything else.
Over to Brett now.
Yeah, I'll buy it as well. I think one of the issues for the race was, I think there were two. I think it was just too short. I feel like that 140. So I just feel like there was a lack of laps. I feel like maybe if it was 200 or 250, probably 250 is a little too much, but I feel like if it was a little bit more, I think it would have been a little bit better as well.
Yeah, I agree 100% that if it was longer, it would have been better. I'm actually going to sell. I just want a rotational all-star race. I want to see different tracks every year because it just gets a little tiring. Every year, the same track. If we change it to Bristol for every year, that'd get boring too. I want to see don't do any mile-and-a-half cookie cutters because nobody wants to see that for an all-star race. But go to, say, a road course for an all-star race. I feel like that'd be a nice choice. Something like that. But feel free to come back to Bristol every once in a while,
Yeah, I mean, that initially was the plan when they had the All-Star race implemented in 85 and then 86. They had it at Charlotte the first year. Then they went to Atlanta only to go back to Charlotte due to various scheduling conflicts. But it would be nice to get a rotation every now and then. moving on to the other aspect of the All-Star race, the underglow lights that we saw on the underside of the cars. Yeah, they were meant to match the manufacturers and not the sponsors for some reason. But we'll start with Justin, then go back to Brett and Hal on this. Buy or sell the underglow on the light on the cars?
Sell for the regular season and outright sell the current iteration of it for things like the Open or the Clash or the All-Star race. I would buy it better or of this. I would want to see if we are going to do underglow at, for example, the All-Star race or the Clash. It's got to be the full car basically, and it's got to be matching the sponsors. Everybody saw the picture that was going around all week long heading into this All-Star event was the Kurt Busch burnout in Nashville last year. That's what made it cool. It was the full car. It was green. It made the car look very, very cool. Now, the only other thing I would be okay with is if it was just off for the entire race and for the burnouts, they just turn it on. I think that would be okay, but I don't really need it. I don't need it for a regular season race. Ace, you want to do it for the All-Star race? You want to do it for the Clash? It's fine by me, but I do not want to see it at the regular season events.
I agree with Justin. Just maybe for All-Star race, match sponsors, do a whole car. Another thing I was disappointed about it, though, was because, we all know Bristol Motor Speedway is a short track, and it's, lit really well. You couldn't really see it. I feel like it was a little bit difficult to see at certain times of the race. So, maybe at a track like Charlotte or a bigger racetrack, it'd probably look much better than what it did at Bristol just because of the lighting, but I'd sell it.
Yeah, I'd also sell it for every reason listed. I mean, it felt underwhelming, just to be honest. It was the back of the car and matching manufacturers. Okay, I guess that's if the drivers were used to it, it would have been cool if they kind of use it to their advantage. Here's my guy, I'll push him. But no, it's Bristol. If you push him, he's going to go careening into the wall, and you don't want that. And I mean, I know they like to push how much everybody likes their favorite manufacturer. A lot of us just like our favorite drivers, our favorite cars. We want to see them lit up under the primary color on the car.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, with the underglow, I'll admit I was very disappointed. I mean, it's like you're expecting a great big gift on Christmas Day, and then you open up the gift, and it's like, oh, good. Basically what I need, a rectal thermometer. I don't know, just something like that. It's something so ridiculous.
Hold up.
I have peaked on this program. I'm sorry, that's the first thing that came to mind. It's like, wow. Like you see,
you could have just said socks. You could have just said socks.
Hey, I mean, I can wear creative socks. If that's the type of person you are, I'm all for it. But with this, it's like you see the underglow. It's like, wow, this is not what I expected. I mean, I expected more. Not just something that's lighting up the underside of a car like a fire that's about to be lit underneath it to go faster. I don't blame Kevin Harvick one bit for saying that he wanted his to fall off. He said that the only person who really liked it was his 8-year-old. I mean, I don't really blame him, honestly.
How do you do, fellow kids?
I can't believe I came up with that. I won't mention it again, and I apologize in advance if this gets me in trouble. But okay. Maybe we should just move on from this. The choose cone. Honestly, I'll save my opinion on this, but the choose cone. What did you think of it for the All-Star event, and do you think we should see more of it, maybe in future events or just regular season events?
I'll be honest. I completely didn't notice it. I think it's a decent idea. I think it's an interesting concept. However, Bristol is a track where it doesn't really matter if you're on the top or the bottom all that much, especially with how the PJ1 was laid out. And it really didn't matter. I didn't really notice the difference. And part of the reason why I didn't notice the difference was because Fox didn't cover it properly. They only mentioned it once or twice. They mentioned it like 50 times during the pre-race show, and then they never showed it during the actual All-Star event. So I wasn't able to kind of track that at going on and throughout the race. So I'd be willing to buy if I were to see it actually properly covered, or to get a good read on it, especially at a track like Martinsville or Indianapolis, or just a track where one line is so particularly dominant. I can't really say, hey, we got a full taste of it at Bristol. And I wouldn't be mad if they implemented it regardless.
Yeah, I feel like that it wasn't covered right, just as Justin said. As far as the basis of the rule goes, I like the choose cone thing. I would definitely buy it for sure. And I think that if it was more covered thoroughly on the Fox broadcast, I think you would have seen a little bit the impact of the rule is what I'm trying to say there. So that was definitely unfortunate. But as far as the bases go, at first I was not on board with it, because I kind of liked the games that some of the drivers would play coming off pit road, try to earn those spots and stuff, slowing down and stuff like that. I kind of like that strategy, which I think you might still see with the choose cone after really thinking about it, because, so-and-so's going to want to restart in front of them, instead of restarting fifth, like that. So, or we might see it come in and play out like a restrictor plate track where, so-and-so may want to restart sixth instead of fifth, because then they'll have their teammate in front of them or whatnot like that. So you might still see those games being played regardless of the choose cone or not, but the choose cone would definitely take a little bit of the effect out of that.
Yeah, I think I wish I could have seen it more. I think we can all agree on that, because if we saw it, we'd have a real concrete opinion on it, because it just, I don't know how you can make a rule change for a specific race, cover that race, and not cover that rule change. It's kind of baffles me how undercovered it was. But it would be interesting to see on a restrictor play. That's exactly where my mind went of, guys are going to want to restart behind their teammate, and they would be willing to sacrifice that spot for it. Absolutely they would. And it would make for – I think the best example would be, think of those Penske boys. Those guys, when they get together, they take off. They would definitely choose to restart on the same line. So I'm not willing to say that I would buy it yet, but I do want to see it again. I actually want to see it covered, and then I can really see how do I feel, because it is interesting. It's really a nice idea. I really need more to see of it, though.
I agree. I mean, I would like to see it on a restrictor plate track, or not restrictor plate because they're gone now, but Daytona or Talladega, a place like that, and really just other tracks in general. I mean, I'd like to see how the choose cone affects races on other tracks, other facilities. And I agree, Fox Sports did not talk about it enough. You got to explain it for the fans at home watching, possibly for the first time, what this is. And Fox just didn't do a really good job, or FS1, the crew, they didn't really do the best job of explaining it. One last question, buy or sell. Justin and I gave our opinions already, or at least Justin has given his numerous times on how much he despises this. However, I kind of dug the number placements on the All-Star event on Wednesday night. Not all of them were perfect, but I mean, I thought they were pretty good. Brett, we'll start with you. You like the number placements? Do you buy or sell those?
I would sell it. But other than that, though, I think the number placement was much better than the original thought process. I think the original thought process was the rear quarter. It's been here and there in the Canaan or in the ARCA Menard series now. Sorry about that. In the ARCA series, and then it was in the NASCAR I forgot what the Pinty series. There we go. NASCAR Pinty series in Canada. You know, some of those cars had the number on the rear quarter, and I didn't really like that idea because, you know, if a car got into a wall or smashed the back end into the wall, you know, it would make it nearly impossible to see what number the car was. But, you know, I think where they put it was much better than that area. And, you know, I kind of liked it, but I'm ready to see it back in the original place where it's always been for the most part.
All right, here we go. I am now firmly in the camp with Justin on this. This was I'd say I'd sell it, but I'm not sure who's buying. I despise those numbers. First of all, my biggest thing, the sponsors are now on the door. That's nice. They're tiny. I barely noticed them, except the number is pushed back, so I do notice them. I'm just now angry that I noticed them. It was so... There was one scheme I liked, exactly one. It was the William Byron scheme, and it wasn't because of the number placement or anything. It's because it was San Jose Sharks colors, which I'm wearing right now. I love the Sharks. I don't love the number placement. Everything about it just felt like, all right, let's just squeeze another space for a sponsor on here. Let's see how many people will notice. It's already on the hood. It is on the hood. There are decals everywhere. We don't need it on the door, too. I mean, I didn't like it. When I looked at those schemes at first, I was like, these look like kind of like rallycross without, if they took the numbers, I would be like rallycross. And then I'm just kind of like, I'm not watching a rallycross race. I'm watching a NASCAR race where I'm used to the number being right there. I'm focused on the number. I was outraged. I didn't like it, and quite frankly, I apologize for not being on this front the whole time, Justin.
I'll even jump in here, or even though I said on the agenda not for me to jump in, but heck with it anyways. Yeah, I wasn't sold on it before, and I definitely wasn't sold on it after the race. First of all, I know it's Bristol, and I know your camera angles are going to be always at just that wonky east side, but the numbers were just like unreadable. The numbers were unreadable. The sponsors were unreadable. It's a messed up hodgepodge, and the only way you're going to see an image of the number is if you had an AP photographer there or taking pictures like they do every single year on Jockey for Daytona. It just boggles my mind who thought this was going to be a good idea. Now, I know the Gen 7 is going to be a bit wider in terms of the distance between the tires, and I know there's going to be a little bit more room there. So maybe it could work because it's going to kind of shift a little more towards the front. Maybe it works because it's a little more towards the back. I would not mind and seeing that if it was a sponsor was kind of towards the side middle, like the left side, but the numbers got to be towards the middle. It was absolutely ridiculous. And like usually when you're watching a race, you're looking for the numbers as to identify. Imagine if Bass Pro showed up with 3 cars like they have done in the past as 3 cars with the same sponsor. How the heck are you going to be able to tell, who's got the right number? Or they'll show up with the 14, they'll show up with the 1, and they'll show up with the 19. Well, shoot, I don't know who's sponsoring them. Could you imagine? And Joe Rich or who was it in 1981 that was sponsoring like 500 race cars each week? Can you imagine him sponsoring one of these cars today, like 5 cars today? How would you be able to tell the difference between Mark Martin and Morgan Shepherd? It's just no. Sponsors are not, again, and numbers are more associated with the fans than sponsors. The only reason why I'm also saying that is because sponsors leave on a dime. Sponsors leave. The numbers usually stay longer than the sponsors do. Tony Stewart is like one of the only guys I know who had a same sponsor from the beginning of his Joe Gibbs run to the end of his Joe Gibbs run. Even Jimmy Johnson went from Lowe's to Ally. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, sponsors leave on a dime. The numbers stay the same if the driver stays at the same team. And again, and it's not Old Spice on the back of my chair, or it's not Office Depot on the back of my chair. It's the 14 that's on the back of my chair. So once again, no, I am selling this, selling and selling. Get this out. Now, this should be the only race where that despicable thing is ever put in front of my face. And I will despise it when it comes out in 2022 because God knows NASCAR is going to do it.
Justin Palmer, everyone. So, yeah, go off. I know I've said it already, but yeah, that's our takes on everything, buy or sell. That wraps up that segment. Brett, I believe that's all the time you have because you're going to be covering the IndyCar race that's ongoing tonight. So thank you for joining us, at least for this first part of the show.
Real quick, let's actually make some picks real quick for tonight before
that's right.
we go.
Should. Because we usually do this. I'm going to go, I'll just say Scott Dixon because why not? Okay, I took everyone's
Willpower.
Willpower for Justin. Hal?
Joseph Newgarden.
Newgarden. Brett,
I'm going to go with pole sitter Connor Daly for the first race.
Ooh, Connor Daly. Good one. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Daly won the pole for Carlin Racing. So how about that? So yeah, that'll make the picks for the first event. Brett, thanks for taking the time for joining us tonight. Real quick, are there any plugs you want to make for anyone who can possibly find you on social media?
Yeah. So you can follow me on Twitter at NASCAR_Brett _ between NASCAR and Brett. And I write for Speedway Digest, so look them up. And should be some great racing this weekend. And I'm just thankful that you all asked me to join this show. And thank you very much. It was great to meet all three of you.
Glad to have you on, Brett. Feel free to come on whenever you find it convenient. More than happy to have you back on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come back on sometime.
Excellent. Hope to see you sometime soon, probably at Kansas.
Well, maybe. We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Have a good night.
Take care, Brett. All right. So now that we've gotten our buy or sell segment out of the way, let's go ahead and look at some other stuff. Let's talk about Sterling Spotlight. We skipped over that, but I do want to highlight some drivers from this past weekend. First, I want to talk about the first-time winners that happened. Cole Custer, Sheldon Creed, and Felix Rosenqvist. All three of them, well, Custer's a rookie, by the way. Oh, and I should mention, Cole Custer, he's the first rookie to win a Cup Series race since 2016 when Chris Buescher did it. However, he's also the first Cup Series rookie to win a non-shortened event, like full-length race, since Juan Pablo Montoya did it in 2007 at Sonoma Raceway. Long time that's happened, and it's a great accomplishment for Cole Custer to get it done this year in 2020. He's the first of the big three from the Xfinity Series last year to get it done. So huge congrats to Custer for that victory. Also, Sheldon Creed, he's shown so much speed this year. We figured it was a matter of time before he finally got that first win, and he got it done at Kentucky, albeit in a rain-shortened event during a pandemic, which, it's like a once-in-a-lifetime chance for a victory. So, Creed, a win's a win. You'll get the first win however you'll want. Congrats to Sheldon Creed on that. And Felix Rosenqvist on the IndyCar side. He's shown a lot of speed ever since coming into Ganassi Racing last year from racing over in Europe in open-wheel competition, coming to the States last year, and winning Rookie of the Year last year over Colton Herta. So big ups to Felix Rosenqvist. Other IndyCar guys to highlight, Alex Palou, who this is his rookie season, and he finished third in the first event at Road America. First career podium finish for Dale Coyne Racing and Team Go. Outstanding performance for Alex Palou last Saturday. Pato O'Ward, we saw how much speed he had driving for, at first, Harding Racing a couple of years ago, and then with some limited opportunities with Carlin last year, then to get a full-time opportunity with Arrow McLaren SP this year and almost winning the thing. In fact, he was out there on worn tires late in the going. If only he could have held off Rosenquist, but I mean, hey, you got to be a contender first, and Ward's a contender. Easy to say that. Matt Crafton, the defending Truck Series champion, has up to last weekend had a miserable 2020, 14th in the points coming in. He gets a third place finish at Kentucky. Exactly the run that a defending champ needs to get their season back on track. And also Eric Almirola. I mentioned it once and I'll mention it again, and I'll mention it one more time because the starting lineup has come out for this weekend's race at Texas. Fingers crossed that it happens. And Eric Almirola is on the pole. So I don't know what he's got, if it's a rabbit's foot, a freshly severed rabbit's foot, or a golden horseshoe. I don't know what it is, but Eric Almirola is on a hot streak, and he is clearly feeling it right now.
It's a lucky piece of bacon, and that is all I'll probably say. Hey, or either that or Tony Stewart sacrificed pork chops. I don't know.
Winning for bacon, all for bacon. It's like Mike Joy when he said during the All-Star race, voting for bacon.
I've actually got one for this. One guy we counted out, we said he was going to finish last in the All-Star race. Justin Haley finished 14th. He finished 14th. I mean, it was Chip Ganassi back, but he finished above Clint Boyer, Cole Custer, Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman, and Kurt Busch. He finished above all the real Ganassi drivers. You got to give him that.
Yeah, I was impressed. I was impressed by his performance, and there was not an easy race to kind of go in. That's been like one of his first races since Daytona, if I believe correctly, in terms of a cup ride. So, good for him, and just looking forward again. Justin Haley, definitely looking like one of NASCAR stars heading into the future.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Justin Haley definitely got a bright future ahead of him. And it makes me feel old because I just realized Justin Haley is only like a little less than 3 months older than me. So, okay, while I complete my old man stage, just contemplation, there is some other news to talk about. Hopefully with the money team racing. Hal, are there any updates? Anything new from the money team? Please tell me something good. Anything.
Listen, I'm almost convinced they might as well just be a Formula One team because I'm not convinced they're ever going to be on a NASCAR track, and they certainly will never be on a Formula One track. I don't know what series they actually are going to be in because they won't be in a series because I've lost hope. Their website is just their quote from weeks ago. That is the website. There's nothing more than just a quote. What am I supposed to do with this? I'm almost furious with everyone below Floyd Mayweather as well now. Why can't the rest of the money team give us the scoops? Is there a scoop? I don't think there is anymore.
I mean, the 9 list this week, so they may have something with Tommy Baldwin?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, we keep bringing this up, and Floyd Mayweather, if you're listening to us out there, we keep bringing this up because deep down we kind of want to see this happen.
Yeah.
Please make it happen. Make our lives interesting. Make this segment more interesting is what we're asking. We'll keep bringing this up until the 50 car shows up at the track one day. We'll just keep talking about it. Until then,
either that or
till the end of till the end of the year.
Yeah, maybe until the
whichever comes first.
We'll see what happens. Whatever happens, that's the money team minute for tonight. So let's get in on some other news. This first topic, Justin knows a lot more about this than I do. The SRX All-Stars is being formed. A lot of people have been going around saying this is kind of like an IROC 2.0. So I'll leave it to Justin on this to explain more about this. However, there is a team that has been formed by Tony Stewart and Ray Evernham.
Yes, it was actually created by Tony Stewart and Ray Evernham. All the cars are going to be made by Ray Evernham, and it is basically IROC 2.0. Oh, there will be 6 races. It's currently slated on the schedule. Oh, and even if when I pull it up and following the account, it looks like there are 3 tracks that are already kind of on pace. It looks like Stafford Speedway, Nashville, Eldora, and actually Lucas Oil Raceway in Knoxville appear to be the 5 of the 6 tracks that they are planning on running at. And they've got some big names too. Dale Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle. Oh, these are all guys that they're following. So they got a lot of big names. It's going to be 6 races. It's with 12 drivers in the field. It'll be on CBS, not CBS SN, CBS on the main network Saturday nights. It's going to be a 90-minute race with a halftime break in between. And they are currently looking for a title sponsor between $7 to $9 million. They got Shamrock Media Group, I believe, to help them out with that. But yeah, it looks like IROC 2.0 may be underway, and Tony Stewart adds yet another racing organization to his list of things to own and operate.
Yeah, Tony Stewart and Ray Evernham getting it done. That'd certainly be something to see. I would assume this is scheduled to start up in 2021.
That is correct. It is supposed to start up in 2021 and around July is from what the AP was reporting. And so, again, I'll say my initial thoughts. I wasn't around for the IROC Air, but I've heard great things about the IROC Air, and I would love to see it being brought back. And hopefully the racing product is a nice addition to a main roster of all the racing across the country.
Yeah, I mean, with this kind of seems like IROC 2.0, but with short tracks and a lot of dirt racing. Considering that IROC, they raced mostly on like Daytona, Indianapolis, Atlanta, Daytona road course, NASCAR tracks. So it left a lot of road course guys at a disadvantage. But this definitely seems like it has a lot of promise. I'll ask for Hal's opinion on this because we're going kind of at length on this topic.
It had my interest to begin with when I saw Ray Evernham's name in there making the cars. I think that's big. But then the names that are interested in it, like Justin said, Greg Biffle. We all want to see Biffle back in a car. Sebastian Bourdais, Tony Kanaan. Those are big names, and I think that's what you really want in a new series. You need to get people's attention with the names. The racing will come. If it's not there to begin with, the names are going to bring people in. And when it's live on a Saturday night, you're not going to get household names because guys are busy. The ones who are full-time racing. But for part-timers and guys kind of out of the sport that are interested, these are as big as it gets. So I'd say that's pretty interesting. I hope to hear a certain Columbia native's name in there, but I have high doubts that'll ever happen.
Fingers crossed that Columbia native shows up. I mean,
oh yeah, it'd be big.
One can dream. Let's just say
I will also add this. Again, and this is, I think, the biggest thing from what I read out of it, CBS. When was the last time CBS was relevant in racing?
2000.
In the racing market. 2000, yeah. Yeah. It's been ever since the millennium that CBS has been around. And if they are looking to get back into the game, I know they lost the SEC rights. This is going to be very interesting going forward because if they are going to do this with CBS, we've also seen a couple of dirt track races, tape dirt track races Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings on CBS. If they're looking at getting back into the racing, and I think this opens up a door or a rabbit hole of, could CBS be looking to get back into the NASCAR market once the TV contracts expire in 2025, or even the ARCA contracts, which have expired this year. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what CBS does. It'll also be interesting to see whether or not this is the opportunity for Kyle Larson to make a return to this more stock form of cars. As that's something also to consider, because as right now, Kyle Larson's been absolutely kicking butt in the dirt track series. This might be his gateway to get back into a stock car ride, and later on down the road, this would be almost a perfect segue for the former driver, the number 42.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, this definitely would be big for Kyle Larson if he's able to get back into the NASCAR, or really just into the more prestigious ranks of motorsports. Moving on to some other news going on, Daytona, the road course, will be allowing fans into the facility for the Truck Cup doubleheader on August 16th, as well as for the Coke Zero 400. Now, this most recent report from Daytona International Speedway, and I'll go ahead and share the screen right now. I'm on the wrong thing here. If I can get, here we go. This is from Daytona themselves. To ensure social distancing between groups, fans who have already purchased tickets to the event have been reseated in comparable new locations, and new lower ticket pricing has been applied. All guests who attend both weekends will be screened before entering the facility, required to wear face coverings, and maintain 6 feet of social distancing throughout the venue. Now, another thing that wasn't in the highlighted portion that I took from the site is that capacity will be limited. Attendance will be limited for the events. So at least Daytona has that going on. It is kind of questionable right now with everything going on, considering Florida is having a big spike in cases right now for COVID-19. And speaking of the last race for spectators at the All-Star race at Bristol, there were some reports that Bristol didn't exactly do the best job of enforcing their guidelines. Let's just say that much, especially near the end when Chase Elliott was by the fence high-fiving some fans. So fingers crossed no one gets COVID from that. But, yeah.
I gotta be completely honest on this. This is stupid. This is completely stupid, especially with Florida being the hottest of the hot in terms of where this COVID-19 is spreading. And also, Chase Elliott, man, come on. I get wanting to interact with the fans and all of that, but a driver should not have been going up into the grandstands during the open race. That was something we did not mention earlier, but yeah, if Bristol was how we are going to have fans going forward, if that is how we're going to have fans going forward, we had fans at Homestead, there were no issues there. We had fans at Talladega, up 5,000 of them. Only thing that was really questionable was Bubba Wallace high-fiving those fans at the end of the race, but it wasn't egregious. Bristol was, as for a lack of a better term, a zoo. So it was, almost every single camera angle you saw were fans with no mask on and very close together. It just feels like somebody's going to get COVID from Bristol. I have no question in my mind. The only question I have is whether or not any of the drivers or crew members got it. It looked like a zoo. Oh, and you had all the, towards the end of the race, you had all those fans cramming up against the fence, and like it was an Arsenal game, and back in the 1980s. It just is causing a lot of red flags, and we're going to Texas this week, which is the second highest amount of cases. So I know I'm the crazy guy who said that we should probably taking a break after Jimmy Johnson got it. However, again, we should not be having fans. And it's not with the increased spiking, and because that's going to jeopardize the season. We have more cases now than we did at Atlanta. We got to end this charade, and we have to keep not only our fans safe, but our drivers safe and our team safe if we want to finish the season.
Yeah, there's a reason why NASCAR sent out that memo saying for teams to be very, very rigid and to adhere to their protocol to the T, basically. Hal, is there anything you want to add in on this subject?
If you're gonna have fans, I here's my biggest problem. You better have some security to enforce these protocols, because that's the biggest lapse I saw at Bristol, is that there was no one stopping this. And you can. There are consequences. If you're not going to socially distance, then, get out of the track. Get out of here. We put these protocols in place for a reason. If you're not going to follow them, then you've basically neglected your privilege to be a paying ticket race watcher out in the stands. You have lost that privilege because you couldn't follow protocol. I don't know why they don't enforce it that way. So as long as they can enforce it, and also if it's a very low number of fans, I can get by it, but I'm getting real tired of this same thing, because this conversation is going to keep happening into the playoffs too. And that's when it's going to get ridiculous, because what if you have an outbreak during the playoffs? You've officially destroyed the season.
You can just ask anyone in the NHL or the NBA. Their season was curtailed because of this. So I can't imagine what it's going to be like. Honestly, from the fans' perspective, I know that there were several fans who were actually following protocol, and to those I appreciate what they did, following all the rules there. But it just seemed like a majority of them didn't really care once they got in the track. A lot of fans there put out on social media that they were wearing them under the grandstands, but once they got out in the open, off go the masks. And then there was the whole controversy with booing Bubba Wallace during driver intros, and then a lot of people cheering when he got dumped by McDowell or turned, or whether it was intentional, unintentional. There were just a lot of people booing. And I get that some people cheering when Bubba wrecked. I get a lot of people cheer when wrecks happen in general, but there were some when Bubba wrecked that reported that there were some racial epithets being thrown out. So that makes it even worse. But it's a whole other can of worms that we just be digging a deep hole into. And honestly, we've beat the subject enough like a dead horse already. Just bottom line, don't be racist. Don't be racist, and please wear your masks when around a lot of people, because we don't know how long this thing is going to be around. Plain and simple. Let's just leave it at that.
We're lucky. We're lucky that we've gotten this far. I would like to get to the playoffs and not have some sort of stupid controversy at the end of the season, and where we have to decide whether or not the playoffs are going to count, or whether or if Kevin Harvick is going to end up being the NASCAR champion.
Yeah.
And don't be stupid. Don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid, and keep yourselves informed too. Please do that. I beg you, please. All right. Now that we've gotten that addressed as well, let's move on to some other news that's been happening. Phoenix Raceway was announced that it will host NASCAR Championship Weekend once again in 2021. It is scheduled for November 5th through the 7th. God, please let COVID be out of here by that time, because I don't know how long it's going to be. All right, let's also moving on to some Formula One news. Some teams have announced their driver lineups already for next season, and Lewis Hamilton obviously will be back with Mercedes. That's no surprise. What came as a surprise to some people is that Valtteri Bottas will be back with Mercedes again for 2021. Now, a lot of people were speculating that George Russell, who is currently at Williams right now, would be moving to Mercedes for 2021. However, that's not the case. Bottas will be staying with Mercedes. George Russell will be back with Williams next year.
along with current Canadian rookie Nicholas Latifi. Latifi and Russell will be back at Williams for 2021.
Can I point out that George Russell's tweet about coming back to Williams may have been the most passive-aggressive tweet I have ever seen. He does not seem happy to be staying with Williams for next year.
I mean, can you really blame him, though? It's
No.
Williams in 2020. Their cars are slow.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really slow.
At least they remember to put the brakes on them.
That's true. At least they're not like Haas in that regard. And I mean, I don't mean to dog on Haas because I generally support them. I'll admit a little bias there, but it's tough to see them struggle on a weekly basis or on a race-by-race basis, just constant struggling. What else is there? Oh, and at least the teammates didn't take each other out on the first lap. I mean, we've seen Mercedes do it before, and Ferrari did it this week. So, oh, boy.
Time for the final Ferrari technique.
Yeah.
It just spinning everyone. And it's just, Ferrari, hey, get your act together.
Yep.
Or, I'm not even a fan of you. And it's just embarrassing to watch. At this point, Mercedes and Red Bull could just be the top two teams, period. And it's just that embarrassing for Ferrari right now.
Pretty much. Let's also, the last bit of news that also concerns F1. This is pretty, I mean, there's some bad, but also a tiny bit of good out of this. I don't know. I mean, it's over COVID, if you could guess it. But here's the thing. Let's look at this article. This is from racefans.net, looking at this article. Formula One confirmed that there were 2 people who tested positive for COVID-19 ahead of this weekend's Hungarian Grand Prix at the Hungaroring in Budapest. Now, the 2 tests were the only positive results among nearly 5,000 tests that were conducted between Friday, July 10th and Thursday, July 16th. So, I mean, the bad, 2 people have COVID. However, I guess the good you could consider, it's 2 out of almost 5,000. So, I mean, fingers crossed that those 2 people get better and that they recover. But the good news is that almost everyone else is fine, perfectly fine health-wise.
Also worth noting that those 2 individuals were not present in Austria during the week.
Correct.
So that is, I guess, good in the sense that right now the people who are at the track are not currently infected with COVID-19 as of right now.
As of now. And also during the Austrian and Styrian race weekends, over 8,000 tests were conducted, all of which returned negative results. So Formula One right now setting a pretty good bar on testing staffers, officials, crew members, drivers, you name it, on COVID-19 tests. So we've gotten the other news out of the way. Let's move on to our Gas and Go segment. And I will be timing you all on my phone. I did not bring my cowbell here to Virginia this week. But I will go ahead and time you all anyway. So we've got 6 questions to go through. We will start let's start with Hal and then go to Justin, and then we'll alternate for each question. So let me get out of my alarm setting and move to the timer section. I'll give you about 30 seconds each, so 1 minute total for these questions. And we'll start with Hal Estep talking about IndyCar. Scott Dixon, Chip Ganassi Racing driver, has won 3 out of the first 4 races this season. Hal, I got to know, is Scott Dixon right now the front runner for the IndyCar title?
Absolutely. There's literally nobody. He's just been on a different level. I mean, it was a little bit, the second Road America race, not so much, but you're not going to win every race despite how much he's trying to and succeeding in the first 3 races. Ganassi's been dominating, and quite frankly, the fact that they've won all 4 races so far tells me that they might just be running away with it this year.
Yeah, he's obviously the title favorite. I mean, obviously right now he's not doing too hot. He's currently in 17th as we speak in Iowa, but he's got to be the title runner. But I really can't say, hey, he's going to win it just yet, just because we haven't gotten to the double points. You're muted.
Excuse me. My apologies. I have some family watching RuPaul's Drag Race downstairs, but I did want to ask for a quick update on the IndyCar race. Justin, I believe you've got the IndyCar race on in front of you.
Yep, lap 17, Newgarden, Daly, Power, and Herta with Rossi in 5th.
Interesting. So Joseph Newgarden currently leading. I believe that's a 250-lap event tonight?
Yep.
Interesting. All right. So let me reset the timer and go on to the next question. Justin, you'll be starting this next one. We've talked about Scott Dixon. Now we'll go to Formula One this time. It's a simple yes or no question. You can elaborate if you'd like. Valtteri Bottas will have the points lead exiting the Hungarian Grand Prix this weekend. Yes or no?
I'm going to say yes. I think he's going to have one more week on the top of it. However, I will say Hamilton will beat him this week, but I don't think Hamilton's going to have enough points to challenge Bottas just yet. They might tie, but I think Bottas escapes Hungary with the lead.
I am going to say that Hamilton's going to take the lead. He has won 7 times at the Hungarian Grand Prix. And I just have a feeling that Bottas isn't going to be – he'll be sharp, but he's not going to be perfect. So he'll drop enough points.
Very well. So, okay. And for my pick, I'm going to say that Lewis Hamilton, he'll get the points lead this weekend in Hungary. The Hungaroring is just a really strong, excellent track for Hamilton. He's always done well there historically. So that might give away my pick for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Excuse me. We'll get into that a little bit later. Let's see. Going on to the next question, we'll go back to Hal Leestep on this. The chances of all 4 cars from Hendrick Motorsports, that is Chase Elliott, William Byron, Jimmy Johnson, and Alex Bowman, all 4 of them make the playoffs, yes or no?
I'm going to say yes. It's a very, very iffy yes. Because Jimmy Johnson is the last driver in on points right now. William Byron is right in front of him, but the other 2 are already locked in. And I don't really see another surprise win, although we didn't see Cole Custer really coming anyway. But I don't see another surprise win pushing out Jimmy Johnson.
Well, you gave your answer for a question and ahead of ourselves, but I think they hold on. If anything, I see Matt DiBenedetto in trouble more than anything. I think, and even though the Hendricks have been notoriously bad in the summer months, I just cannot see them getting passed up by RCR or for a final spot. And we've already had a wild card winner. So unless Daytona throws the final wrench in, I think and both Johnson and Byron get past as DiBenedetto here, and they will be safe if a wild card comes at the later Daytona races.
I mean, talking about the Cup Series standings right now, Cole Custer, he came into Kentucky's race 25th in the point standings. A win puts him into the playoffs now. So that, I mean, and the thing is, Cole Custer, he's 20th in points just on regular points. So if you're going by the top 16, then you take out the 16th position because Cole Custer's in 20th, but he gets a win. So that puts Jimmy Johnson. He is 24 points to the good right now over Austin Dillon. And William Byron, he's just 6 points ahead of Jimmy, 30 points ahead of Austin Dillon. Then you go Clint Boyer, Matt DiBenedetto, then Kyle Busch, who's 11th in the points right now. Well, 12th if you throw in Cole Custer for the playoff grid. So it's anyone's game at this point. Who knows what'll happen, especially with Daytona being supposedly the last race before the playoffs begin. Lord knows how that's going to affect stuff. So we'll just have to wait and see what goes on. Real quick, though, let's go on to the next question. Justin, we'll start with you on this. Is Eric Jones racing for his job at Joe Gibbs Racing?
I would say absolutely. He would have to start. He's going to have to start now. Oh, if he isn't already. I just can't. Christopher Bell is getting better. A lot of drivers are on the free agency market. Do you think JGR is going to set this one out free agency class? There's Brad Keselowski who's available. You have Brian Blaney who's potentially on the market. You have Clint Boyer, Eric Almirola. You have Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric. You have Justin Haley if they really want to reach. They're not going to bring anybody up from the Xfinity side, but I could definitely see a Joe Gibbs Racing and dumping another driver young into his career or this early on. And he's got to be racing for his career.
Yeah, they've given him a few years to develop, and it's kind of stagnant now. I think this is his last year at JDR, unless he can not even unless he pulls out a win. I think making the playoffs is your bare minimum if you're in Joe Gibbs Racing equipment. So even if he makes the playoffs, you don't make a run, he's not coming back. Christopher Bell will probably take his spot because we all kind of saw this coming. This was what we kind of envisioned when Christopher Bell came up to Cup. He's going to take over for Eric Jones in the 20 car. It was never which car is going to take over. It was always it's going to be a 20.
Yeah, I mean, Christopher Bell, he keeps getting better. In fact, out of the top 10 that we saw at Kentucky, 3 of the top 10 were rookies. Cole Custer won the event. Christopher Bell was, I think, 7th or 8th, and Tyler Reddick was 10th. And Eric Jones, I'll be honest, I don't even know where he finished. He might have finished in the top 10, though. I'll have to take a look at it.
I'll even throw another name out there, or John Hunter Nemechek. Heck, you don't think he's looking to get out of front row equipment at this offseason? And a lot of rookies out there. A lot of rookies and a lot of different drivers who might go other places this offseason.
Yeah. Eric Jones finished 22nd. I checked the rundown. Kyle Busch was 21st. So Kyle is having his miserable season after his championship from last year continues. Things can't get much worse for Kyle, although they could in a way. Let's get away from that before I go on any further. Let's go back to Hal for this question. Will we see one more surprise winner in the NASCAR Cup Series before the playoffs begin?
That depends to me on your definition of surprise winner. Would you consider Kyle Busch a surprise winner at this point? Because he's just been so oof. But here's the thing. I don't think there will be a surprise winner. I already spoiled that. But if say Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won at Daytona, I wouldn't be shocked or surprised because he's that good on super speedways. But it'd technically be a surprise winner. So in that case, I'm still going to say no. He's not going to win there anyway.
Right.
Daytona, August, hurricane season. And that is the only way I see a surprise winner. And knowing NASCAR 2020, I would not be shocked. We are due for a race to get shortened by rain. And we are more than due with the amount of rain delays we've had this year. So, yes, I am going to say we are going to have a shortened race with a rain winner. Do I think it's going to be a surprise driver, though? Well, I do. And I think it's going to be a one of the RCR equipment drivers. So that's going to come from either Patty Germain or RCR in general.
All right. So that's Justin Palmer's prediction on that. And one last question while we're on the subject of playoffs. This is on a different series, though, over on the Xfinity side. We saw Austin Cindric and how well he did at Kentucky last weekend, sweeping both events for the Xfinity doubleheader. And we've also seen Chase Briscoe be really dominant, but Austin Cindric is really coming into his own this year. Is Austin Cindric a lock for the Xfinity Final Four?
I have Noah Gragson. I have Chase Briscoe as guarantees, but I don't have Cindric yet in that category. I think you still have to deal with Ross Chastain. You still have to deal with Justin Haley. and who knows what other drivers are going to come up in the final couple of races here. You're going to have to be competing with those colleague boys, and they're not going to be easy to beat. It kind of come postseason if they're going at this pace.
Knock, knock, Xfinity. It's the most horrifying thing all of you drivers can think of. Austin Cindric's winning on ovals. You better be afraid. I think he's a lock because he's put it together on the ovals. And it's been really impressive because, you know, you have to give him the road course moniker. And no, he's a complete driver. He's shown it.
Yeah, I'll add in my 2 cents on this and say that Austin Cindric, in my mind, with the speed that he's shown on the ovals, dating back to even last year near the second half of the season and then going forward, he is absolutely a lock for the Final Four at this point because he's proven that he can run on really well. Obviously, he's done well on road courses, but now he is adapting to ovals and doing really well over there. I mean, he led well over half the race on Friday night, the race that was there, the 300-mile event. So Austin Cindric, he's kind of like Will Power in a sense, inherently great at road courses, and then they adapt and become really strong oval competitors. So I'd say Austin Cindric is a lock for the Final Four. That completes Gas and Go. Justin,
one more thing on that. And not the best 4 drivers never make the Final Four. We know for a fact that the best 4 never make the Final Four, especially in the lower series. I think he is a top 4 or driver. He is a top 4 driver right now in the Xfinity series. But there's always that William. But we also have to keep in mind anything can happen in 3 races. That might just ruin an entire season. And so I think he's a top 4 talent in the Xfinity series, absolutely. And it's going to come down to how many points he can earn in these next couple of races that will determine whether or not he will make that Final Four.
Very well put. It's kind of one of the reasons why, in the back of my mind, I don't really like the playoff system. But, I mean,
that's a can of worms.
It is what it is. It's what we got to deal with right now. So, while we're going ahead and talking about this, let's go ahead. We already made our pick for tonight's IndyCar race. There is another IndyCar race tomorrow night at Iowa Speedway. It is part of a doubleheader for the NTT IndyCar Series. Real quick, let's go ahead and make some picks for the second event of the doubleheader. Let's start with Justin Palmer, and then we'll go to Hal, and then myself. Pick for the second race, because we've already made our picks for tonight.
I think it's going to go back to Dixon. And he's going to have troubles tonight, but I think he's going to take some revenge and work his way up through the field tomorrow night. They're going to get that car ready to go.
All right. Hal, your pick.
This is a kind of tough one. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Pato O'Ward. I was very impressed with him at Road America, and I do want to take this opportunity about the Road America race. Will Power drove like a madman that first lap, and I feel like we glossed over it. He wrecked 2 cars in 2 separate incidents. Like, Ryan Hunter-Reay and Graham Rahal looked at each other watching the replay going, it happened to you too, apparently, huh? I was just baffled.
Oh, Will Power. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a great competitor, but there's been some questionable stuff. I remember there was one time where I forget who it was specifically, but it might have been Takuma Sato now that I think of it. But there was a race at Barbara Motorsports Park a few years ago when Will Power exited the pit lane, and they tell the drivers in pre-race, exit the pits in a safe manner. Will Power cut straight to the inside, the first corner after the pit exit, and cleaned out a car on the inside. I think it was Takuma Sato, but I'm not entirely sure of that. But Power also put himself off the course in the process. Anyway, my pick for the second Iowa event. I feel like I'm going to go out on a limb for this pick because he hasn't really shown the most of speed, and I feel like he's past the prime of his career. But I'm going to go ahead and say Ryan Hunter-Reay. because Hunter Ray tends to be pretty fast on these short ovals. I mean, and just in general, if I feel like Ryan Hunter-Reay is the type of competitor where you don't really expect him to be up near the front at a certain event, or at least he'll be up near the front at a place where you don't expect him to be at the front. That's what I'm trying to say. And I feel like Hunter-Reay will just find himself in that place where suddenly he's in the lead and no one can get around him. And and I'm banking on a victory tomorrow night for the 2012 IndyCar champion. So that's my pick for the. In fact, those are all of our picks for tomorrow's event. There's also going to be an ARCA race at Iowa Speedway tomorrow night. I'll go ahead and share the screen because I came a little bit prepared, thankfully, with the entry list for the ARCA event. So here it is. There are 21 drivers, even though it says 22. Eric Caudell and his team have withdrawn from the event. So there's going to be 21 drivers. Obviously, Haley Deegan will be there. You get the regulars, Deegan, Drew Dollar. Chandler Smith is in the 20 car this weekend. Let's see, Sam Mayer is back for GMS racing. In fact, I think Mayer recently turned 18. So he's set to make his Truck Series season debut at some point coming up. Also, you got regulars Brett Holmes, Michael Self, the championship leader right now. You got Thad Moffitt. Gracie Trotter is in for Bill McAnally's team. And Max McLaughlin driving for Shiggy Hattori's operation. So out of just the short list that you've got, and don't forget Taylor Gray for DGR. Oh, and Ty Gibbs too. I cannot overlook Ty Gibbs. That guy is a phenom in that Coy Gibbs owned Joe Gibbs racing machine. So out of the 21 drivers that we have in front of us, Justin Palmer, who is your pick to win the Shore Lunch 150 at Iowa Speedway?
I like this series because I'm starting not to like this series because it's almost becoming a little too easy to pick drivers. I think Chandler Smith, he missed last week because he was going truck racing, and this is his playground. This is his series. Give me Chandler Smith for this weekend.
Well, after last week, I cannot pick Haley Deegan again because my curse has passed on to her, apparently. I watched as she got wrecked by Drew Dollar and just went, yep, that sounds about right for my pick. I was going to pick Chandler Smith. That's glad he dodged that bullet. I'm going to pick Michael Self. He's the guy to beat, even though Chandler Smith is also the guy to beat. These Venerini cars. There's something else out there. So I'm going to go with Michael Self. Dang,
man, you're just cursing everybody now. Let's see. Okay, I'm actually going to pick Sam Mayer for this event. I think Sam Mayer, Iowa is a track in the truck series. Mayer's going to get a lot of experience on the truck side. He's a K&N Pro Series East champion, I believe, from last year. He's competed on short ovals similar to this, and he's won some ARCA, I want to say East and possibly West division races from earlier this season. Sam Mayer, the son of open wheel and road course racer Scott Mayer. Sam has in my opinion, has a really bright future ahead of him, and he'll be in GMS truck equipment, I believe, on a much more regular basis in the near future. So our picks again, Chandler Smith, Michael Self, and Sam Mayer for the Shore Lunch 150 at Iowa Speedway. So now let's go ahead and look at, we should probably make some picks for the Formula One Grand Prix at the Hungaroring, the Hungarian Grand Prix. Justin, I'll start with you. Real quick, though, actually, let me ask this. Is your pick Lewis Hamilton?
Yes, it is Lewis Hamilton. I have Bottas in second, though, with the fastest lap.
Thank you. Lewis Hamilton, a pick for the win. Hal Eastep, your pick?
Do I have to pick different, or can I just go with the easy pick? I mean,
this is like the Kyle Busch. This is like Kyle Busch in the trucks. We either all pick it or no one picks it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lewis Hamilton. He's won there 7 times. I mean, come on.
Okay, I'm gonna be extremely original and very creative here. definitely not going to copy off both of you because I am going to pick. I'm kidding, obviously. I'd be insane to go against anyone other than Lewis Hamilton here. I mean, Lewis Hamilton, how you mentioned it, 7-time winner at the Hungaroring. Come on, I can't bet against that. Lewis Hamilton. That's our collective pick to win this weekend.
You have better. I mean, basically, you have the more complicated question in this week in Hungary would be: is Ferrari going to spin out again?
I would say no, but
yes or
again,
no on that.
I would say no,
Yes,
but then
but
again,
no.
we've seen more shocking things happen. So, yeah, let's go ahead and let's get to
Fair enough.
let's get to some other races that are going on. Let's go to NASCAR at Texas this weekend. Now the races are supposed to go on, albeit there are some rising COVID cases in Texas. So now there's some question as to whether or not, remind me, either Justin or Hal, whoever is more informed on this, are fans allowed in for now at Texas?
Yes. Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. Because I feel like that's going to be a problem then. I would say at this point, just don't have the fans there. Give them all their money back because it's not looking good for spectators there at Texas. However, let's go ahead and make these picks operating under the assumption that at the very least, the races will go on as scheduled, possibly without fans. But whether or not they have fans there, let's assume that the races happen. So we'll go ahead and make these picks. We'll start with the My Bariatric Solutions 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I'll go ahead and share the lineup right now. I will tell you that it is a JR Motorsports all junior front row with Michael Annett and Jeb Burton. We have Annett in the number 1 on the pole, Jeb Burton in the newly renumbered 8 car, which used to be a Roush Ford 60 on the outside of the front row. We've got Austin Cindric in the highest starting Ford in 3rd. Then you have Justin Allgaier in 4th, the 7 car. Then you get the rest of the top 10, which is Riley Herbst, Brandon Jones, Harrison Burton, Ross Chastain, Noah Gragson, and Anthony Alfredo. So 3 Toyotas and 3 Chevys rounding out the top 10, and Harrison Burton getting the upper hand on Gragson this week. Or should I say an uppercut? Anyway. Let's go ahead and start with, man, I am on fire tonight. Justin Palmer, your pick for the My Bariatric Solutions 300. Maybe I should list some notables as well. There's 37 cars to choose from.
Don't you name
Kyle
it.
Busch is 28th. Kyle Busch is in this race. Oh, Lord. I feel like we know where this pick's going. But
Yep, play the Imperial March. It's Kyle Busch.
Oh, great. Okay. So Kyle Busch is one of the picks to win. Hal, your pick?
We're not doing the Lewis Hamilton thing again. I'm sorry. I got to go with the man of the hour with the right hook of just epic proportions. Give me Noah Gragson to win after a big win in a fight. I feel like he's a big enemy of NASCAR fans at the moment, and quite frankly, you need the bad guy to win sometimes.
That's true. You need to have some good guys, need to have some bad guys. Let's see. My pick on this, let's see. I'm surprised Dexter Bean is starting 13th. I'm sorry, it just amazes me. Like I haven't
Good draw
seen
for
much.
him.
Yeah, great for him. I mean, great draw for him considering. Yeah, Brett Moffitt in 15th as well. Let's see. They ran at Charlotte earlier this year. I'm trying to remember who won at Charlotte, or Kyle Busch won at Charlotte. I'm actually going to pick Austin Cindric again because the 1.5 miles have really gone well for him. He ran really well here at Texas back in the fall. And, I mean, he had a 3rd-place run there. He's coming off 2 1.5 mile wins in a row. I'm just going to pick Austin Cindric for this and make it easy. So our picks again, Cindric, Kyle Busch, and Noah Gragson. Those are our picks. Justin, is there any update on the IndyCar race right now?
84 laps in. They're on the commercial break. current reigning points leader, Scott Dixon's in 19th, and they're cycling around. So they're in green flag pit stops. Currently in the lead is Takuma Sato, followed by Power and Newgarden and Howard. Patrick Howard.
Patricio Award, very nice. Okay, so
Come on, Drew.
that's our current rundown for the IndyCar side. Let's go ahead. Let's make some picks for the truck race that will be happening after the Xfinity event on Saturday. Again, this is on the condition that these races still happen. However, we'll make these picks just under the assumption they go on. So I will go ahead and share the starting grid for that. Last weekend's winner, Sheldon Creed, will be starting on the pole for the Vanker 250. This has been known in the past as the Vanker 400. However, they changed the name to reflect, instead of 400 kilometers, 250 miles, which is roughly the same distance. So Sheldon Creed on the pole, Grant Enfinger on the outside. Those are the two truck regulars, the only two truck regulars to have won a race this season. That says a whole lot. Then you got Austin Hill in third, and oh boy, Kyle Busch is fourth. Rest of the top 10, Todd Gilliland, Zane Smith, Christian Eckes, Brett Moffitt, Tyler Ankrum, and Ben Rhodes. Justin, are you picking Kyle Busch again?
This would be almost impossible for me not to pick Kyle Busch, and I cannot avoid the temptation. I got Kyle Busch winning back-to-back races. It's just too easy.
Oh, Lordy. Okay. So, Kyle Busch, really, Justin Farmer riding high on Kyle Busch for this weekend. Let's see how there are 35 other options to choose from. They include Ty Majeski and Natalie Decker, who are starting pretty high up in the field. Justin Haley is going to be driving for GMS Racing this weekend. How about that? One of his first truck races back in a long time. Ryan Truex is also in for Nice. Then you get, let's see, Johnny Sauter's 21st. Angela Ruck is back again in the 00. Ross Chastain. Akinori Ogata driving the 33 Toyota. I would have to look at who the owner is for that Toyota. Although if I remember correctly, Ogata has made some starts in the NASCAR, what was the K&N Pro Series from a while ago, and in some ARCA starts as well. Let's see, Austin Wayne Self, who got into some Twitter controversy earlier this week. I won't explain why. You can just go on Twitter and find out. Let's see. Yeah, 35 other non-Kyle Busch options to choose from. So, Hal, are you picking someone other than Kyle?
Yes, because first of all, Justin, have you forgotten I've cursed this man? And the curse is not lifted, specifically because he's going to keep getting picked. I'm going to go ahead and say Tyler Ankrum, because he's ran pretty well at Texas in his limited amount of starts there. And I'm just going out on a limb here. I would like to point out, I thought Kyle Busch would be the only driver with a win at Texas in the Truck Series on the entry list. I'm wrong. I'll see if Sterling picks the guy who is the other one with the win.
That's a good point there. I hadn't really thought of it like that. But oh wait, one guy on this qualifying order who actually has a win at Texas,
other than Kyle Busch.
Other than Kyle Busch, I think I know who you're talking about, but I'm not sure I'm gonna pick him. I'm just not entirely sure. I know who you're talking about. It's Justin Haley.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think Haley, he'll be up front all night, but I'm not sure he'll have a truck to really compete for the win. And let's not forget that he got that win because Todd Gilliland had some sort of catastrophe happen with his truck on the last lap. And Justin Haley just zoomed by and got the win after that. But let's see. If I'm going to pick someone, Texas can sometimes provide some surprise winners. It's even provided some first-timers in the past. Let's see. If Todd Bodine was in this race, I would definitely pick him because that guy is a master. He was the master of Texas Motor Speedway in his prime in the Truck Series. But I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm thinking we might see a first-time winner Saturday night. And this guy's been doing really good lately for GMS Racing. It's a teammate to Justin Haley, but I'm going to pick Zane Smith to get his first career Truck Series win Saturday night. The guy, he had a really strong run going at Kentucky and probably would have been a contender for the win had the race not been called short due to rain. I think Sheldon Creed will also be running really well. Don't get me wrong on that. But Zane Smith, I feel like he'll make it 2 first-time winners in a row for GMS Racing back-to-back weekends. So give me Zane Smith for this weekend at Texas. So our picks are Kyle Busch, Zane Smith, and I'm trying to remember how. I'm so sorry, I forgot yours.
Tyler Ankrum.
Thank you.
Now, I will say one thing. I gotta ask one question. How does Kyle Busch lose the race to you two? How does he lose this race?
Pit crew has a loose lug nut on the last pit stop, and the tire falls off coming out of pit road.
So
Pure
Atlanta
speed and talent.
Speeding talent. Oh man.
See, whenever I get to pick first and I go with Kyle Busch, I always win because I know Hal's going to avoid picking Kyle Busch because he thinks he's cursed.
I've cursed him. What do you mean think? I've done it.
I mean,
I did win Charlotte.
Just look at his Cup season this year. Clearly something must be working. Let's get to the Cup race, by the way. The O'Reilly Auto Parts 500, which will be on a Sunday afternoon in the middle of Texas with heat increasing and COVID-19 cases spiking. Oh, man. Let's just say a quick prayer that the drivers will not get heat stroke in these cars because it is going to be a hot one. Trust me. I mean, I'm out in Virginia. It felt like it was 100 degrees. Actually, no, correction. It's supposed to be 100 degrees on Sunday here in Northern Virginia, close to Washington, D.C. It is hot out here. Can you imagine what it must be like in the southern U.S. on Sunday? If it's going to be 100 degrees here, Lord knows what it's going to be like in up in northern Texas. Oh, man, it's going to be bad. But let's go ahead and look at the starting lineup. You got Fords on the front row, Eric Almirola with his good luck charm starting on the pole. You got Ryan Blaney in second. Then the Busch brothers, Kurt and Kyle, are third and fourth. Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski, 2 Fords in fifth and sixth. Then you have Denny Hamlin, All-Star winner Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, and Martin Truex Jr. rounding out the top 10. Other notables to include Matt DiBenedetto in 11th. You got Bubba Wallace starting 14th with a new sponsor this week. Ricky Stenhouse in 13th. Ryan Newman in 15th. In fact, it's Roush Fenway, row 8 here. Cole Custer, last weekend's winner, will be 19th. Jimmy Johnson in 20th. Further down the list, you get Tyler Reddick in 24th. John Hunter Nemechek 28th. Christopher Bell in 33rd. Michael McDowell, either a hero or a legend, depending on what you think of Bubba Wallace, in 34th. Corey LaJoie, 36th. Reed Sorensen rounding out the field for, I believe that's Tommy Baldwin in 40th. So 40 cars to choose from. One winner can be done at Texas Motor Speedway this weekend for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500. Who wins it? Justin Palmer, who you got?
Hell no, I'm just kidding. We're not going and with a sweep this week. I know Hal's cursor is too strong in the Cup Series, but for the record, it's going to be 94 degrees east, and that's just the regular feel. That's not even real feel. Oh, which means the real feel is going to be 107 degrees, which means the track temps are going to be 141 degrees.
Oh, jeez.
Ace, whoever thought this was a good idea seriously needs to be removed from the public safety of NASCAR. This is a Brian France decision, and that's how bad it is.
Oh,
but we got to make a winner, and we have to have someone win this race if it goes on. So I think that there's going to be a veteran that shoots the pixels on Sunday, and that veteran is going to be Kevin Harvick. I just cannot see it going to anybody else but Kevin Harvick or Danny Hamlin. And so it's Harvick's weekend again.
How dare you? That was absolutely going to be my pick. I was going to have a nice lead in about how Kevin Harvick has won one of the 2 races at Texas for the past 3 years. There goes that. This makes it significantly harder to pick because this is Texas, and I mean, it's Texas. Denny Hamlin did win last year. That is the thing that happened, but I don't want to pick Denny Hamlin because I feel like we're just going to trade Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick and Sterling's going to be like, well, who do I get to pick? Because those 2 win every other week anyway. So I'm going to go with my favorite one to lean on in these trying times, a guy who just can't buy that lucky win. It's always something happens to him. It's probably going to happen again, but, I just want to see it happen. Jimmy Johnson has won it at Texas Motor Speedway 7 times, like Lewis Hamilton at the Hungaroring. I'm going to go with Jimmy Johnson, even though he's in 20th, even though all logic says he won't win this race. I just want to pick him because it makes sense from past history.
All right. So 1 pick for Kevin Harvick, 1 pick for Jimmy Johnson. Well, contrary to what a lot of you think, I'm actually not going to pick Denny Hamlin for this. I won't be surprised if he does win, though, but I do want to make my pick a little interesting because this guy, I've talked about him a lot already, or at least I've mentioned him a lot tonight. He's been riding on a lot of luck, and I feel like it's just a matter of time before he reaches the pinnacle and gets a victory this season. I'm going to stick with the pole sitter and go with Eric Almirola. His team has been really fast lately. They've been having a lot of speed on the 1.5 miles. In fact, last weekend at Kentucky, even though he was outside the top 5, he finished 8th, but his team led 128 laps in that race. That car was dominant enough to win. Had things gone his way, he would have won that race. Just be honest, he would have won it. So Eric Almirola, I feel like things will finally go his way this weekend. He gets it done at Texas Motor Speedway, gets career win number 3, and his first win on a non-giant super speedway, I should say. Not Daytona or Talladega. I feel like this is where he gets it done on a 1.5 mile cookie cutter, I guess you could call it, at Texas Motor Speedway. It might as well be a cookie cutter. Have you seen turn 1? It looks like the California Superhighway. So,
not to mention,
yeah,
he did very well here last year in the fall race. So
yeah, he finished.
I would not be surprised.
Finished second,
either.
I believe.
Yeah,
second. In fact, Stuart Haas as a whole did really well last fall. So
Texas just seems like Texas just seems like a Stuart Haas track, doesn't it?
Yep. By the way, while we're talking about the Cup Series, let's go ahead and make a pick for the race after that because it's going to get interesting because the next Cup race after that will be the Digital Ally 400. It will be Thursday night at Kansas Speedway. So this to me seems like an attempt to try and get a race in before a kind of a sort of off week in a sense, which I mean, it makes sense, but they'll be running, NASCAR will be in town at Kansas Speedway Thursday through Saturday, July 23rd through the 25th, and they're going to start with the Cup race on that Thursday night. So while we're talking about the Cup Series, a lineup hasn't been set, but I mean, we pretty much know almost every driver in the field, barring some kind of catastrophe happening at Texas. So let's go ahead and make some picks for the race at Kansas Speedway, which would be this upcoming Thursday, July 23rd. We'll start with Justin.
This guy, I feel like hasn't been good this season. He has actually been kind of terrible this season compared to past results, but he is very good at Kansas. And he is very good at Kansas when the lights are on the racetrack. And he is very good in the summertime and good at 1.5 miles. I think it's another victory for the land down under or for James Small. I think it is going to be Martin Truex winning at Kansas. So, once again, Toyota is going to get another win on the board.
I'm going with Kevin Harvick. I'm still a little bit shell-shocked about not being able to pick him last time. I mean, he's solid at Kansas. He's got a really good, he's a 9.8 average finish there and 3 wins. He's pretty good. It's all going to really depend on the draw, to be honest, but blind picking, I'm going to go Harvick.
Yeah, I'll go a little out of the box on this. He's done well at Kansas in the past, and he won a race earlier this year at a track that's kind of similar at Auto Club Speedway. I'm going to say Alex Bowman is going to win at Kansas on Thursday night. Get another win for that 88 team and boost up their confidence with the playoffs coming sooner rather than later. So those are our picks for next Thursday night's show for the Cup Series, the Digital Ally 400 at Kansas Speedway. That race will be done by the time this show airs next week. So with that out of the way, that basically concludes our show. We've gone through all our picks. We've run down some news. Justin, Hal, any last words before we decide to call it a night on this show?
Not really here. I just want to say, it's going to be an interesting week of racing. Hopefully, we do not have another Kentucky. And let's go racing, hopefully, at Texas Motor Speedway. That way we can get the heck out of that state.
I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that last week I tore into Sebastian Vettel, and quite frankly, Ferrari is justifying every moment I tear into them. I don't know how they've botched the beginning of this season horribly, and I don't know how much better it's going to get for them. But on the other hand, I've never been more interested in a Formula One season than this one, so I hope it continues this way.
I mean, that is another thing I forgot to mention, because Sebastian Vettel, there now have been rumors running around that Vettel is going to be driving for Aston Martin Racing next year, replacing Sergio Perez. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand what nepotism is and the powers of it. The thing is, Lawrence Stroll owns Aston Martin Racing, or at least has a majority stake in it. His son, Lance Stroll, is a driver on the team. And if you're coming down to decide what driver is going to be leaving the team, you're not going to kick out your own son. Let's just be honest. Unless there is some terrible event that happens, you're not going to kick them out. So it's unfortunate that Sergio Perez will probably have to sacrifice his seat to Sebastian Vettel if it happens. I'm not entirely certain it's going to happen, but it's starting to look that way. So unfortunate, but that basically covers it on my end. And any last thoughts? Just be safe out there, be smart. Just get rid of hatred from your heart. And that includes on my end as well. I'm trying to be better at that. And for those who tuned in late, I'm sorry because you missed me say the term rectal thermometer tonight, which I honestly, I don't know what made me think of that, but apparently something did. So, yeah, so that happened. I'll try never to do that again. But regardless, thank you all so much for watching or listening on YouTube or Anchor.fm. And also special thanks to our guest who was on earlier tonight, Brett Winningham of Speedway Digest, for coming on and talking a little bit about racing with us tonight. So that'll do it for us. We will be back next week, I should say, July the 24th. So we'll be back on here. Thank you all for tuning in. So for Justin Palmer and Hal Estep, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and please be kind to one another, both in person and online. Until next time, I'm Sterling Siemens, signing off.